One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Going to give it just a second for everybody to get on board and also just say good morning to you. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. It is an early Monday morning here in Seattle, Washington. The sun is just coming up. Going to try to adjust my lighting just a little bit as the sun is coming up. Did a little bit of Qigong this morning. That's just activating my chi, feeling my life force energy. And let's see here. Today we're going to be talking about what I call the F.A.R technique. If you do this technique, you can really go far. So I'll be getting into that. I'll also be giving your totem animal spirit for the week, your crystal for the week, and your numerology number for the week. Make sure to stick around at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Healing Cafe. I know some of you are asking for a direct reading right now, but at 8:30 is when we'll switch over to the Healing Cafe, and that's where I do spiritual chats, inspirations, readings, psychic readings, mediumship readings. Try to limit to one question per person because it can get pretty busy in the healing room. I think last Monday I ended up having over 300 and some comments, so it's hard to get to everybody when I'm a one-man show. But that'll start at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, follows immediately right after the Metaphysical Mocha Mondays main live show, which is inspirational messages for the week ahead. If you want to learn more about the information, more about the work that I'm doing, I think I need a cup of coffee. I need a drink here. Hold on. If you would like to learn more about the work that I'm doing here in Seattle, either online or in person, just go to marclainhart.com, internet search The Intuitive Prospector. You can also find me as part of Best American Psychics and also Best Psychic Directory and also Ariel Spiritual Community. You can also find me through Alexa. Just ask to open up Positive Living, and you get spiritual daily tips from me. Or you can catch me every Wisdom Wednesday, either for a live show or an encore show of Inspired Living Radio through the Om Times Radio Network. It's our global radio show through the internet. Lots of fun. Every Wisdom Wednesday we have a lot of different topics and guests. We've been in 4 seasons of doing the live radio show that then podcast to iTunes and YouTube and SoundCloud and Podbean. So some amazing teachers been on there, guys. So I'm always looking forward to who's coming on the show or a teaching show. So this Wednesday it'll be a teaching show. I'm going to be furthering the topic of the F.A.R technique. It's a technique that I've come up with to help you for your spiritual journey, for your spiritual path. And it's something that you can apply. It's not going to happen overnight, just like with the spiritual journey. It takes time and patience and trust, but it will give a good acronym to remember how to move through some of the stuff that we get from an external standpoint that comes, kind of like we're like filters, if you will. We have all these different experiences, whether it's joy, pain, peace, happiness, sadness, tragedy, and it's about you as the filter, if you will, like osmosis, if you know the term of osmosis. It's something passing through a membrane, and this is what today's technique, the F.A.R technique, F.A.R, something I've come up on my own. This is mine, so I get to put it in quotes and call it my own. But the F.A.R technique, unless there is another technique out there, I'm just not aware of it because this came to me through meditations. And that's what I do every day, or for every show that I do every Monday morning. It's really, I get up early in the morning, I meditate, kind of see what's going on with consciousness, see what's going on with the spirituality, the etheric world, what kind of messages I'm going to have for today. And today it was talking about how to move through this process, which is a big part of your healing as well, guys. And I share this with you because it's just something I've applied to my own journey. And pretty much everything I talk about, I've gone through it myself and experienced it, soul adventures. But I look at it like your external environment's passing through you like osmosis, like a membrane. And it's up to us. You decide, you choose. Your free will and choice is to choose how you respond to your external stimuli, because a lot of times the spiritual path, guys, is about the internal process. Everything else, religion, politics, media, that's all the external process. And when you go in, that can be very transformational. So I want to share that with you this morning. So if you would, please take a moment to say hello. I do have the messages turned off just for right now. But at the Healing Cafe at 8:30, I will be having a conversation directly with you. So get your top fan badge. The best way to do that is interact with both Metaphysical Mocha Mondays and the Healing Cafe. I'll have my phone available to call. We also split screen the video and bring you on live to do a live reading. Depends on what I'm picking up. And make sure to subscribe, share, or like to the Intuitive Prospector page so you can get your top fan badge. And also get your questions ready because we'll be talking about that. So before we begin, I have a new handle for my singing bowl. And it's funny because one of the inspirations I got for your totem animal spirit this week is the spider. And there's actually a spider in my singing bowl. So I just want you to take a deep breath with me real quick. Let's move into the magic of the moment. Let's move into Metaphysical Mocha Mondays for the next 25 minutes. And really just connect. Connect to what you want in life. Connect to what is going on in your life, because everybody is experiencing something different. Feel what's going on around you, because that's a big part of today's message is feeling, especially if I've got any guys watching. A lot of times the ratio of women to men in my workshops and in my radio shows and in my Facebook and YouTube shows is a lot of women and not a lot of men. I'm hoping that will change as more and more men become aware, become more sensitive, and move into that feeling emotion, because that's today's technique, is the F.A.R technique. And so I want you to just take a deep breath and find the magic in the moment. Here's my new handle. I had to get a new one because my old one was so worn out. Just take a second to put a big smile on your face. Take a nice deep breath in. And just join me here collectively. Let's create a space. Create a space for inspiration. Create a space for guidance, for education, for knowledge. Create a space for wisdom. Create a space for feeling, awareness, your own intuition. Just take another nice deep breath with me. And so it is. Yeah, so I looked down into my singing bowl and I was like, there's a spider, and that's funny because that's today's message. In today's message, I'm also wearing my ego shirt. This is my monkey shirt, and I'll just pull it up so you can see it. So the monkey is looking up, climbing up to my brain, And a big part of the spiritual journey and what we do is managing the ego mind, the competitive mind, the judgmental mind, the opinionated mind. And today's technique, the F.A.R technique, is going to address what the ego doesn't want to address. And, I learned this through emotional acceptance, if you will. I always say honor your grief. And before I do that, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out this Saturday to Inner Alchemy in West Seattle. We had a sold-out event. That's S-O-U-L-D. I like to say sold out. But we had a packed room, a lot of inspirational messages and healing from the other side, what I call the etheric world. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated in that. My colleagues Denise Kinney and Chris Fitting were part of that, as well as supporting mediums Donna and Lucy from Canada. So thank you guys for participating in that. I really appreciate the effort and all the amount of people that came out for Saturdays with Spirit, which is our reunions of life after death. The next one is November 17th. It'll be on a Sunday, and then also December 22nd, which will also be another Sunday. So we have two more events at Inner Alchemy in 2019 if you're interested. And also, guys, for you that are watching today, I do have some really cool events coming up in 2020. I've got a tutor coming from the Arthur Findlay College by the name of Penny Hayward. We'll be doing a 4-day workshop here in Seattle at Tower Memorial Church. I will also be bringing a Paul Jacobs, a former AFC tutor at the college, to teach Mastering Your Mediumship. It's another 4-day workshop. That'll also be at Tower Memorial Spiritualist Church here in Seattle. That'll be in September of 2020. So go to marklainhart.com to get the information, to get the Eventbrite tickets. The tickets are now on sale for Penny, which will be the 4-day workshop with an early bird special through January 1st. You save like $70. There'll also be a demonstration night with myself and Penny on the platform at Tower Memorial, so I'm looking forward to that. But pay attention to some cool events coming up in 2020. And just thank you for everybody that supports my work. I appreciate you. I see you. And also for my colleagues and friends who came out for Saturday Soul Spa or Saturday with Spirit, which was readings, cheap tickets, $10 to participate and maybe get a reading from a loved one. So, okay. So let's talk about the F.A.R technique. What is the F.A.R technique? And again, this is something that when I started down the path of going through the traumas and tragedies of losing my brothers, one to murder, one to brain cancer, all in the same week, my father-in-law to multiple sclerosis, all at the young ages of 21, 35, and 47. And it really changed me. It changed how I look at life. It changed how I looked at myself. It changed how I looked at religion. It changed how I looked at death and dying. And it also reminded me of what Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about all the time. When you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at start to change. And there's a lot of truth to that. And so when I started taking biofeedback, I actually had to go through a whole bunch of biofeedback sessions when I was in the Coast Guard to address the trauma. I had to go sit with a shrink and a psychologist and a grieving counselor because I was just maxed out. I was so stressed out with everything that was going on with the murder trials and sitting and addressing my brother's killer face to face, watching my brother slowly pass away from his brain cancer. So it was very, very, very tough part of my years, and something I'm writing about in my book. I'm going to be actively writing my book and hope to be published in 2020. But part of the emotional acceptance is the F.A.R technique. And again, I came to this from biofeedback, grieving counseling, being a spiritual counselor per se, even with being a medium and talking to the other side, but also helping people with their spiritual path, transformations and inspirations. But one of the things that I learned is, I just kind of wrote some notes here, when one illuminates the truth and transparency, and we start to do that by feeling. And so the F for the F.A.R technique that I do is to feel. Charlie Chaplin, the great movie actor, talked about this all the time, that humans think too much. Again, here's the monkey climbing up. We think too much and we feel through the heart too little. And even myself, my first half of my life, I was socially conditioned to not really move into feelings and emotions, being in the Coast Guard, being a retired firefighter, and that paramilitary organization, because you had a job to do to save lives. And I think that's part of the problem why we have so many issues with depression, anxiety, suicide, because we're not honoring our grief. We're not embracing and looking at emotional acceptance for, again, the things that pass through us like a membrane, osmosis. And so when you when one illuminates the truth, its transparency cannot harbor secrets suppressed in shame or disgrace. The liberation facilitates the healing process. So, like I said, I activated the singing bowl this morning to put you into the magic of the moment, because your mind is so powerful. The imagination creates a future that's not yet guaranteed or is going to turn out how you think it's going to turn out. Your memories create a past that you can't change or do anything about, so you have to learn to let that go. And then that singing bowl tone brings you into the magic of the moment. And so I just want to say that again. The F.A.R technique is feeling. And when you feel that and you allow that feeling, that emotion to pass through you, again, you have to have emotional acceptance to do this technique. That's step number one, is to allow you to illuminate the truth, whatever that truth is for you, wherever you're at on your path, and allow it to pass through you. Because a lot of times we get into avoiding any kind of negative emotions, and when you use the F.A.R technique, you can go far. That's why I call it the F.A.R technique. So the first one is feeling. Let it feel the experience. I'm not saying every experience is good, because there are some really bad experiences. But if you feel them and you let them pass into you and through you, don't hold on to it. We move into the A of the F.A.R technique, and that's acknowledgement. Because when we don't acknowledge it, we tuck it away, and when we tuck it away, we avoid the negative emotions. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. When we avoid something, we do it through work, we do it through relationships, we may put our time and energy into somebody else, we may put it into a job. And what happens is, when you get into the habit of what I call emotional avoidance, again, emotional acceptance versus emotional avoidance, the choice is always your own, you tend to go down the rabbit hole a little bit deeper, is what I'm trying to say. We go into avoiding this awareness and acknowledgement of the pain by tucking it away. And I like to say, avoiding negative emotion buys you short-term gain at the price of long-term pain. Let me say that again. Avoiding a negative emotion buys you short-term gain at the price of long-term pain. And the reason I'm saying that, because I went through a lot of pain because I didn't honor my grief. I held a lot of what I was doing in, and it literally caused a lot of back pain, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of why am I here? What's the whole point? And so today's show is really focusing on acknowledging and honoring your grief by feeling, acknowledging, and for some of you may have already guessed it, the R in the F.A.R technique is releasing. Because if you hold on to this, the pain inside, you start to try to avoid the negative emotion, that discomfort, again, because you're not feeling it, you're not acknowledging it, and you're not releasing it, and that's why it's called the F.A.R technique. And if you do this, you're going to go far in life and in your emotional state, your mental state, your spiritual state, and your physical state. And when you avoid short-term discomfort of that negative emotion, it causes the person that is in the avoidance of the emotional avoidance to start doing other things. Again, lose themselves in relationships, addictions, and there's all sorts of different addictions: emotional addiction, sexual addiction, drug interdiction, alcohol addiction. And when you do that, it works for the time being, but then the next day when the bad feeling comes again, you may pick up a drink, you may want to smoke to avoid something, you may want to give your time to your job, workaholic, or give your time to in a relationship, and you do the same trigger. And so it's good for the short term, but in the long run, the person that is avoiding the emotion is going to start having problems of addictions, and it can lead to darker, more painful days because you're not resolving your issues internally. So the F.A.R technique is feel, acknowledge it, because when you acknowledge it, you're telling the ego mind. Remember, I'm wearing my monkey shirt. Here's my monkey. I literally call this my monkey shirt, my ego shirt, because it's a monkey trying to climb up my neck to get to my brain. And by acknowledging it, what you've now done is brought it out. And when I mean acknowledge, I mean literally say it out loud. We had a gentleman at Saturday's Dem who stood up and honored his father that had come through from the other side, and also acknowledged his pain. He felt like he needed to do that, and he asked if he could do that, and kind of a testimonial in front of strangers. But by doing that, he acknowledged his own pain, and then he, in a sense, released some of his pain. So today's message is the F.A.R technique. I'm just sharing this. This is something I have used myself. because I had some pretty dark nights of the soul, going through the trauma of losing both brothers, trauma of losing my real dad, trauma of losing a lot of friends through suicide, through tragedies, and fur babies. So I've got a whole it's sad on the physical side, but on the mediumship side and the etheric side of what I do, I can't be sad because I know that I'm going to see them again because I talk to them all the time. So I know that there's a world within a world, and so it's hard to be sad. I miss the physicality of my loved ones and friends and family and fur babies, but I know that I can connect to them whenever I need to, and it's a reassurance that life does go on just in a different way than we think. Again, awareness. And when you can use the F.A.R technique, you can really go far or farther than you thought you ever could. It's that diamond within, and finding that diamond. So again, feeling. Let the external environment pass through you like a membrane, like osmosis. And if you don't know the term osmosis, just look it up. It's something of an experience passing through a membrane, water passing through a membrane, if you will. And we're 65% water. So in a sense, we're a giant membrane with experiences passing through us. So feeling, acknowledging. You say it out loud, and by acknowledging it out loud, your ears hear it, your mind registers it, and the ego is aware of it. And then you start to work on releasing. And releasing is not an overnight sensation, just so you know. It's not an on-demand. Maybe for some of you, but for a lot of us, releasing is a constant daily reminder, and that's why I wanted to give you the F.A.R technique so you can go farther and go another day. For those of you watching, I do always remind people that if you are struggling with depression, with anxiety, you feel like giving up, I just want to remind folks that there is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's always somebody to talk to. I get a lot of people that reach out to me. The more that I've grown with my shows and my readings and my events, I love to help when I can, but I do this show and the Healing Cafe as my way of paying it forward and giving it back and reaching as many people as I can on a Monday morning, but I can't get to everybody the rest of the week. And I always want to remind people that there is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It is available 24/7, 365. If you feel like you need somebody to talk to and you feel alone, I always remind people, because I've lost a very close friend to suicide, and I've also lost a family member to suicide. So I resonate and I understand the pain of suicide. But the number to call is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. You can also look it up online under suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Again, it's free, it's anonymous. They're always here to help 24/7. So I always wanted just to throw that in there as well, because part of honoring your grief is expression and mourning. When you hold grief in, grief is an internal process, mourning is an external process. Whatever the external process is for you, but one way you can do that is by using the F.A.R technique. Feel it, even if it's painful, feel it, because if you don't and avoid it, you're gonna cover it up with other things. And again, it's a short-term gain at a price of long-term pain. And take it from somebody that knows, as a subject matter expert, you don't want the long-term pain. Just pay attention to that. So feel it, acknowledge it, release it. And you may have to work for several years to release some of the traumas and tragedies and pain that you've gone through. And again, when one illuminates the truth, its transparency cannot harbor secrets suppressed in shame or disgrace. The liberation facilitates the healing process. Now, that's not my quote. This is actually from a book I'm going to recommend. I always like to do book recommendations. This is called The Secret Language of Spirit. Name is William Stillman. This is a book that I refer to a lot. He's really good. The Secret Language of Intuition. Language of Spirit, which is also helping you to understand the language of your own intuition, which is the language of your soul. So thanks for joining me this morning. I hope that you are having a beautiful Monday morning, a beautiful week ahead. Again, what are you grateful for? What's your attitude for gratitude? This morning I waked up with my grateful 8 things I'm grateful for. I use 8 because it's my favorite number. It's my number in numerology. 8 is also the infinity number, so I'm always trying to be thankful because I opened my eyes today. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's get into giving you your number for the week. We'll end here in about 5 minutes. Going to give you your totem animal spirit, going to give you your crystal for the week, and also your numerology number for the week. So the numerology number was interesting because I pulled 2 cards this morning for your message. So what I do for the people that are new, because I'm up to 30 or so spiritual prospectors. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. The show has been growing, and it's been awesome to watch because I think when I started the show, I think I had, I don't know, maybe 5 5 people or so. So it's really cool to see more and more people join for, to get those inspirational messages for the week ahead. But I'm going to go ahead and paste in my YouTube channel. That is also growing. If you want to get on my YouTube channel, I highly recommend that you do that, just for the fact that I put in hidden keys to claim your own spiritual gold for free classes that I offer through Learn It Live, hidden meditations that I do live, and also invite people to Zoom rooms. We did one on 9/11, which was fun, last minute. But the best way to keep up is to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like, share, or turn on the notifications for the Intuitive Prospector page, because I like to do that to have you prospect for your own spiritual gold and to find those keys. And they're keys that unlock the class for free. They usually cost anywhere between $5 and $15, but it's a great way to claim keys to tune in. I've got 1 or 2 keys left for the Spiritual ABCs course, which is Learn It Live. So you have to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to get on that subscription to actually see where those keys are hidden in the things that I have you go out and prospect for. So I gotta have fun, right? Life is short, and you gotta question everything, and go out and prospect for what you want. That's why the mountains are my backdrop, because it's all about spiritual prospecting for transformations and your own spiritual gold. So the 2 cards that came up today when I pulled the cards was kind of a dual effort. So it's 2 cards. The first is forgiveness, and that's interesting because that ties into the F.A.R technique I was talking about. Feel it, acknowledge it, release it. If you can do those steps, the farther you'll go in life. So part of that journey is forgiveness. The number associated with that is 9, and the other number is 6, so it's a 96, which adds up to 6 in numerology, and the 6 is all about self-love. You're actually self-loving by forgiving others for what they've done. It took me years to forgive my brother's killers, but I've done that, and I've worked on that, and that was not an easy thing. So if I can forgive my brother's killers for murdering him at the age of 21 for a robbery over marijuana gone bad, I think everybody can move into that place of forgiveness. So forgiveness is the first card. The second card is effort, which I thought was pretty interesting, because again, you're going to get out what you put in, and this effort is for you. The effort is a 13 in numerology. The 3 is balance, and the 1 is independence, and together that adds up to 4, which in 4 energy, it's all about focusing and dedicated work. And as we move into 2020, that's also the year of the 4. It's going to be dedicated work to fix a lot of things that have been broken over time here. So effort is going to be a big part of it. Remember, energy follows your intentions, and part of your intentions are your efforts that you set forth, what you do in your mind and what you bring out into your reality. So that's your numerology numbers for the week. If you want to get into crystals and stones, something that I didn't really get into until a few years into my spiritual journey, my spiritual practice, but stones and crystals. I've got my peach moonstone right here. When I bought this, it was clear like this, and over time you can kind of see there's a person that's kind of come through. It's almost like a portal. So you can see the head and the shoulders and the outline of a body. It's almost like the heart is blowing up here. So when you work with crystals, they can really enhance your connection to source, whatever source is for you, whatever God is for you, whatever, the Christ consciousness. But stones and crystals can really amplify, just like a amplifier amplifies the music of a guitar. We're all guitars. We get strung out all the time by life, and we have to retune. Crystals can really help you with that. Even stones, basic rocks. But this week, I want to give you angel light. Angel light is... I got a little ant right here that's crawling on my desk. That's interesting. So maybe your totem animal spirit will be the ant, not the spider. But angel light is the stone of awareness. And if you're going to acknowledge what your pain is by feeling, acknowledging, and releasing the F.A.R technique, you have to have awareness to what is going on internally with you. Because if you don't have that awareness, you're going to avoid it. You're going to have emotional avoidance. You're not going to have emotional acceptance, and that's a big part of it. But the angel light can really help you with this being a stone of awareness, because it represents brotherhood, sisterhood. It represents peace. It also, because it's called angel light, it is also facilitates conscious contact with those that believe in angels or the angelic realm. And I personally believe in angels. I've seen them. I've walked with them when I was 5 years old, when I had my first out-of-body near-death experience, walking with the shadow people who I now know were angels at the time. were of the time. Not man or female. They talked to me through my mind, walked me around, showed me why I was in a coma for a couple days. So that was quite interesting. So your totem animal spirit is the spider this week. And the spider, because the spiders are out as we move into fall, it's all about opportunity to access your deepest wisdom and assimilate it so it becomes part of your daily living. So pay attention to the spider. But because I had an ant walk across my desk, literally a small little ant, which I hope I don't have ants now in my studio. The ant is all about, it's time to get to work on the project that you've been thinking about and to see it through to completion. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that the spider was what I chose for your totem animal spirit this week. Pay attention to the spider, whether you walk into one or see it on TV or in a magazine or in a book. But then this ant literally walked across my desk, and that's awareness. That's awareness to the small things. Notice the small things. And it's the ant is saying when it shows up, it's time to work on a project that you've been thinking about. So that's actually my message for me directly, but I'm just sharing that with all of you today for the show on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, because I've got tons of projects that I've got to do, including getting ready for my next workshop, my private event next weekend up in Everett, Washington. So thanks for joining in today. Stick around. We're going to be back here in 30 seconds for the Healing Cafe. So if you want to interact with the page and get your Top Fan badge, make sure to have your questions ready. I know some of you are asking for a question. I don't answer questions on this show. This is strictly an inspirational show for the week ahead to give you messages, because now this is going to premiere over on my YouTube channel. I also do crossover shows on my Instagram channel. So follow me on Instagram, Twitter, under the handles Intuitive Prospector or Marc Lainhart. You can find more about the work I'm doing at marclainhart.com. You can see my education, my stories, my background, my soul adventures. I share everything because that's part of my transparency. That's also part of me feeling and acknowledging who I am, my authentic self. So make sure to like or share or subscribe to the page. I do track, before I end, I do track those that share out the page to other pages. And you're entered into a free reading at the end of the month. I pick one person, or I should say the spirit person picks one person to connect with for a free 30-minute reading via phone or video. So if you like, share, subscribe, and you get on my YouTube channel, your name is entered into a free reading for the month. And then you also, on my YouTube channel, there are hidden keys through the different shows and pages where you can claim free classes and also get invites to special meditations and special classes. So I just want to thank you and honor you for tuning in to Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. It's been my pleasure to connect with you. Stick around. In about 30 seconds, we'll be back with the Healing Cafe. Till our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and I'll see you next Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, or you can join me over this Wisdom Wednesday through my internet show, live radio show through Om Times Radio, Inspired Living Radio, where I'll be talking about this technique a little bit more deeper, the F.A.R technique. Feel it, acknowledge it, release it, and until our next time together, be kind to one another and have fun. Life is short. Take care, everyone. Namaste.